Welcome to my channel, Valuable Coins All World. If you've ever wondered if those old coins you have lying around could be worth a fortune, you're in the right place. In today's video, we're diving into some of the rarest US coins, revealing their jaw-dropping values that will leave you amazed. Stick with us till the end. You won't want to miss what these hidden treasures could be worth. Let's get started. Top 1. The United States of America has a rich history of producing coins that reflect its culture, heritage, and values. One coin that has earned a special place in the hearts of collectors and numismatists alike is the Washington quarter. While the coin itself is iconic, the 1988 Washington quarter holds a distinct allure that sets it apart from many others. It's a piece of American history that has more than just monetary value. It carries stories, symbolism, and, most importantly, a fascinating evolution from its design to its current place in the world of coin collecting. Let's take a journey back in time and explore the world of the 1988 Washington quarter dollar. To understand why this coin is so intriguing, we need to dive into its history, the events that led to its creation, and the significance of the year 1988 in the context of American coinage. We also need to examine the craftsmanship behind the design and the unique aspects that make it stand out among other quarters minted throughout the years. The history of the Washington quarter starts much earlier than 1988. In fact, the coin's design was introduced in 1932 to commemorate George Washington's 200th birthday. For decades, the coin remained a staple of American currency, bearing the image of Washington, the first president of the United States. Over the years, the design underwent subtle changes, but the overall imagery of Washington's profile on the obverse, alongside the eagle on the reverse, remained largely unchanged for generations. The Washington quarter became symbolic of American ideals: unity, strength, and liberty. But it wasn't until the 1980s that the Washington quarter experienced some notable shifts, both in its design and its broader significance in the coin collecting world. The year 1988 marked the tail end of an era in U.S. coinage, a time when coins were beginning to experience a renaissance of sorts, with collectors eagerly seeking out specific years, mints, and conditions. But what makes the 1988 Washington quarter specifically worth mentioning? For one, it was part of the continuing series of quarters that spanned over 50 years. The coin saw continued production under the same basic design framework that had been in place for decades. However, in 1988, the Washington quarter stood out for several reasons. By this time, the U.S. Mint had begun producing quarters with an increasing level of precision, both in design and in the use of modern minting technologies. The 1988 quarters, like those before them, were struck at the Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints, ensuring that a variety of versions would be available for collectors to pursue. As we move from history into design, the Washington quarter in 1988 adhered to the traditional motif of the iconic profile of George Washington on the obverse side. This detailed portrait of the first president has become synonymous with the coin, symbolizing the founding ideals of the nation. On the reverse, we find a majestic eagle perched proudly, a representation of freedom and strength that is both timeless and powerful. What's interesting about the 1988 version of the Washington quarter is that it was struck in a time of transition for American coinage, just a few years before the introduction of the 50-state quarter series that would forever change the landscape of collecting. For collectors, the appeal of the 1988 Washington quarter is not just about the design, but about the rarity and condition of the coin. Although this coin was produced in large numbers, many factors contribute to its collectible status. Coins that were kept in pristine condition, without significant wear or marks, are highly sought after by those who appreciate the artistry and precision that went into their creation. This is where the condition of the coin becomes a crucial element in determining its value. Coins that were stored carefully, uncirculated, and free from damage over the years tend to be much more valuable than those that were in circulation and saw extensive wear. When considering the minting details, we also need to look at the different types of coins that were produced in 1988. The most common quarters were minted at the Philadelphia and Denver mints. These are the ones most people encounter when they come across a 1988 quarter in their pocket change. However, the San Francisco Mint, known for producing proof coins, also contributed to the 1988 Washington quarter series, which means that a limited number of proof coins exist for collectors who are looking for coins that are of exceptional quality. Proof coins are struck with extra care, using specially polished dies, and they typically have a shiny, mirror-like finish that distinguishes them from the regular business strike coins. These proof coins were sold in special sets and were not intended for general circulation, making them more difficult to find. For collectors looking to add a piece of history to their collection, a 1988 Washington quarter-proof coin holds an undeniable charm and is often more valuable than its circulating counterparts. But let's shift gears for a moment and consider the greater context surrounding coin collecting during the late 1980s. The 1980s were a golden era for collectors. The hobby was growing, fueled by both nostalgia and an increased interest in numismatics as an investment opportunity. By the time the 1988 quarter was released, the United States Mint had already begun to realize the importance of minting coins that would appeal to a new generation of collectors. As a result, the 1988 Washington quarter was not only seen as a historical artifact, but also a valuable commodity in the world of numismatics. Now, let's fast forward to the present day and talk about the coin's value. While most 1988 Washington quarters are still worth their face value of 25 cents, the real value of this coin can be found in specific examples that have been well preserved or were produced in limited quantities, such as proof versions or high-grade coins. When it comes to rare and well-maintained examples of the 1988 Washington quarter, some can fetch astounding prices at auction or private sales. And here's the big reveal. Did you know that some of these coins, particularly those in mint condition or with special characteristics, have been known to sell for as much as $89,700? Yes, you read that correctly. An impressive $89,700 for a single Washington quarter from 1988. This jaw-dropping figure isn't for just any coin, of course. It applies to those that have been professionally graded and preserved in near-perfect condition. A coin like this represents the perfect storm of rarity, condition, and demand. A true treasure for collectors. So, why does this particular quarter carry such a hefty price tag? It comes down to several factors, including its exceptional grade, its rarity, and its place in the broader context of coin collecting. The 1988 Washington quarter is a perfect example of how a seemingly ordinary coin can transform into something far more valuable when the right conditions align. For numismatists, collectors, and investors alike, the 1988 quarter stands as a symbol of how history, design, and preservation can come together to create a coin of extraordinary value. In the world of coin collecting, there's always the possibility that a seemingly insignificant coin could be hiding a great treasure. And the 1988 Washington quarter serves as a prime example of this. For those who are fortunate enough to own one of these rare, high-grade specimens, the value of their investment is undeniable. So, the next time you come across a 1988 Washington quarter, take a closer look. You might just be holding a small piece of American history that's worth far more than you ever imagined. The story of American coinage is rich and layered, filled with historical significance, craftsmanship, and stories that transcend generations. Among the many coins that have captured the hearts of collectors and history enthusiasts, the Washington quarter stands out as one of the most iconic symbols of the United States. The Washington quarter was introduced in 1932 as a tribute to the nation's first president, George Washington, and since then, it has continued to circulate as a central figure in American currency. But while the design remained relatively unchanged for decades, each year's production of the Washington quarter tells a unique story. One of the years that stands out in the storied history is 1981. The 1981 Washington quarter is a coin that reflects a fascinating period in both the U.S. Mint's history and the broader cultural landscape of America at the time. To understand why the 1981 Washington quarter is so important, we first need to go back in time to examine its historical context. The early 1980s in America were a time of transition, as the country was adjusting to the changing tides of politics, economics, and social culture. President Ronald Reagan had just taken office, ushering in a new era of leadership and policy in the United States. The American economy was recovering from the stagflation and energy crises of the 1970s, and the nation was entering a period of optimism, growth, and international influence. At the same time, the world of coinage was also in flux. The U.S. Mint was modernizing its operations, introducing new technologies, and improving its methods of producing coins. This was particularly evident in the production of the Washington quarter, which had already been in circulation for nearly half a century by 1981. By then, the design had been slightly adjusted, but the essence of the coin remained the same: George Washington's profile on the obverse side, with the eagle on the reverse side symbolizing strength, freedom, and American pride. In 1981, the Washington quarter was struck at three major mints across the United States: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia and Denver mints produced the typical business strike quarters that would be sent out for general circulation, while the San Francisco Mint focused on producing proof coins for collectors. These proof coins were specially struck with polished dies to produce a shiny, mirror-like finish, making them more valuable and appealing to collectors who prized high-quality specimens. The 1981 Washington quarter's design was a continuation of the familiar motif that had been in place since 1932. The obverse featured a portrait of George Washington, sculpted by artist John Flanagan. This was one of the most recognizable profiles in American coinage, and it depicted Washington in a dignified, almost regal manner. His facial features are intricately detailed, and the inscription "Liberty" arches above his head, while the year of minting, 1981, appears just below his portrait. Washington's image was carefully chosen to reflect the ideals of leadership, unity, and strength that he embodied during the founding of the United States. On the reverse of the coin, we find the majestic eagle, wings outstretched, perched on an olive branch and a bundle of arrows. This powerful image symbolized the balance of peace and strength, a core element of America's identity. The eagle has been a symbol of the United States since the early days of the country, representing the ideals of freedom and independence. The words "United States of America" are inscribed in a semicircle along the top of the reverse, and below the eagle is the coin's denomination, quarter dollar. In terms of minting, 1981 was an interesting year for the Washington quarter. While the design itself had become quite familiar by this time, collectors began to pay closer attention to the quality and condition of the coins. The U.S. Mint had refined its minting process, and as a result, the 1981 quarters produced were of a higher quality than many of the coins struck in the years before. The coins were produced with more precision, thanks to advancements in technology that allowed for greater control over the dies and presses used to strike the coins. For collectors, the 1981 Washington quarter represented a bridge between the older, more traditional coins of the 20th century and the new wave of collectible coins that would emerge in the coming decades. As the coin was produced in large numbers, it was not expected to be rare or highly valuable in most cases. However, as with many coins from this period, there were certain factors that made the 1981 Washington quarter particularly appealing to numismatists. For starters, collectors were particularly drawn to the proof coins struck at the San Francisco Mint. These coins, which were produced in limited quantities and sold in special proof sets, often exhibited a much higher quality of craftsmanship compared to the business strike quarters that were circulated. The proof quarters from 1981 had a mirror-like finish and a level of detail that made them stand out as true works of art. As with all proof coins, their value to collectors was higher due to their rarity and superior quality. Moreover, coin enthusiasts began to develop an increasing interest in collecting specific years, especially those from the early 1980s. As the coin market began to heat up, many collectors found themselves looking for quarters with pristine conditions, specifically those that had been well preserved and showed no signs of wear from circulation. As with all collectible coins, the condition in which a coin was kept played a significant role in determining its value. A coin that had been preserved in uncirculated or near-mint condition was considered far more valuable than one that had been handled or spent in daily transactions. In addition to its design and minting quality, the 1981 Washington quarter began to gain attention as part of a broader trend in American coin collecting. The early 1980s marked a time when coin collecting was becoming more mainstream, and people were beginning to view coins not just as currency but as valuable pieces of history and culture. During this time, collectors began to look for coins from specific years, mint marks, and conditions that could potentially offer a return on investment. The 1981 Washington quarter, while not inherently rare, found itself in the spotlight as part of this trend. As we move forward in time, it's important to note that while many 1981 Washington quarters are still worth their face value of 25 cents, there are some extraordinary exceptions that have caught the attention of serious collectors. The key to understanding the value of the 1981 Washington quarter lies in the condition of the coin, its rarity, and its collector demand. And here's where the exciting part comes in. The rarest, most pristine 1981 Washington quarters have been known to sell for impressive amounts at auction. Some of these high-grade specimens, particularly the proof coins, have sold for as much as $82,700. Yes, you heard that correctly. A single 1981 Washington quarter has been known to fetch up to $82,700. This stunning price is reserved for coins that have been professionally graded and found to be in flawless condition, such as those with the coveted proof finish or those that have been stored in a way that preserve their original quality over the years. It's the perfect storm of rarity, condition, and demand, and for collectors, it represents the allure of owning a piece of American history that's worth far more than its initial face value. The 1981 Washington quarter is a great reminder of how a seemingly common coin can become a valuable collectible. When well-preserved and in exceptional condition, it becomes more than just currency, it becomes a piece of art, a symbol of American heritage, and, for the lucky few, a valuable investment. So, the next time you stumble upon a 1981 Washington quarter, take a moment to examine it closely. If it's in good condition, you could be holding onto something worth far more than its face value. While most 1981 quarters might be worth just 25 cents, some are truly treasures in disguise. For those who are lucky enough to own one of these rare specimens, the value can be extraordinary, reaching up to $82,700. It's a powerful reminder that in the world of coin collecting, anything is possible, and you never know when you might find the next great piece of American history. Top 3. The Washington quarter is one of the most iconic and enduring pieces of American currency, first introduced in 1932 as a tribute to George Washington, the first president of the United States. Over the decades, this coin has become synonymous with American pride, its design reflecting the country's history and values. Yet, among the many years of its production, there is something special about the 1979 Washington quarter. Like all pieces of currency, each year's coin carries its own unique story, its own place in history. And for the 1979 quarter, that story is one of change, progression, and lasting value. To truly appreciate the significance of the 1979 Washington quarter, we need to begin by stepping back into the political and social landscape of the late 1970s. The United States, having endured the turbulence of the 1960s and 1970s, was entering a period of relative stability. In 1979, President Jimmy Carter was in office, and America was grappling with economic issues, including inflation and high interest rates. However, the early 1980s would soon usher in a new era of change with the rise of Ronald Reagan as president, signaling a shift in economic policies and attitudes. Despite these challenges, America's coinage was moving forward, with the U.S. Mint working diligently to produce coins that were both functional and meaningful. As for the Washington quarter, 1979 marked a significant point in its history. The coin had been in circulation for nearly half a century, and by this time, the U.S. Mint had continued its tradition of striking high-quality coins. The 1979 Washington quarter was struck in the same design that had been in use for decades, but it was released during a transitional period in the minting process. By the late 1970s, advancements in technology were making their way into the production of coins, allowing for better control over the striking process and a more consistent final product. This would have a lasting impact on the quality of coins like the 1979 Washington quarter. But what makes the 1979 Washington quarter so captivating for collectors and numismatists? To begin with, the design of the coin remained largely unchanged from the original design introduced in 1932. The obverse of the 1979 quarter features the well-known portrait of George Washington, sculpted by John Flanagan. This portrait has become one of the most enduring symbols of the United States, portraying Washington with dignity and nobility. His profile is crisp and clear, with the inscription Liberty arcing across the top of the coin and the year of minting, 1979, appearing just below his profile. On the reverse of the coin, we find a powerful symbol of America's strength and freedom, the bald eagle. The eagle is perched with wings spread, clutching an olive branch and a bundle of arrows, representing both peace and readiness for defense. The inscription United States of America is visible along the top, with the denomination quarter dollar prominently displayed at the bottom. This design has remained largely unchanged for decades, with the eagle's stance serving as a timeless representation of the nation's enduring ideals. The 1979 Washington quarter was struck at the three primary U.S. Mint facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia and Denver mints produced the standard business strike coins that were intended for circulation. These coins were minted in massive quantities to meet the demands of daily transactions across the country. Meanwhile, the San Francisco Mint produced proof coins, which were specially struck with polished dies to produce a mirror-like finish. Proof coins were not intended for circulation but rather for collectors who valued the higher quality and finer detail that proof coins offered. The production of the 1979 Washington quarter was a continuation of a tradition that had been established in 1932. However, the quality of minting during this period was notably higher than in the earlier decades of the coin's production. The U.S. Mint had begun to employ more advanced technology, improving the consistency of coin production and making it easier to create high-quality coins with fine detail. This meant that, while the 1979 Washington quarter was still a standard design, it was produced with greater precision and attention to detail than earlier coins. As with all coins, the 1979 Washington quarter has a range of value depending on several factors, including its mint mark, condition, and rarity. For the average person, finding a 1979 Washington quarter in their pocket change today is a common occurrence, and these coins are worth their face value of 25 cents. However, for the discerning collector, the value of the 1979 quarter can vary dramatically depending on its condition and provenance. Coins that have been well preserved or kept in near-mint condition are highly sought after by collectors. A quarter that has been kept in pristine condition, free from wear and tear from circulation, is worth significantly more than a coin that has been heavily used. The highest quality 1979 Washington quarters, such as those that have been graded as MS-67 or higher, are much rarer and therefore much more valuable. This brings us to the aspect of rarity, which is a critical factor in determining the value of a coin. While most 1979 Washington quarters are relatively common and easily found in circulation, certain variations of the coin, such as those produced at the San Francisco Mint or those with mint errors, are much rarer and much more valuable to collectors. Proof coins, for example, were produced in limited quantities and were not released into general circulation. As a result, proof coins from 1979 are considered highly collectible and can fetch a premium price, particularly when they are in excellent condition. But what really gets the attention of collectors, investors, and numismatists is the incredible potential value of the 1979 Washington quarter when it is in near-perfect condition. While the majority of 1979 quarters are worth little more than their face value, certain examples of this coin have been known to sell for astonishing prices. If you have a rare, high-grade 1979 Washington quarter, you could be sitting on a small fortune. The most valuable examples, particularly those that have been graded as Proof 69 or Proof 70, by professional grading companies, can be worth an extraordinary amount. In fact, the highest quality 1979 Washington quarters have been known to sell for as much as $97,700 at auction. Yes, you heard that right. A single 1979 Washington quarter, in the right condition, can be worth nearly $100,000. This is a rare exception, of course, and it requires that the coin be in flawless condition, with no signs of wear or imperfections. However, for the savvy collector or investor, this is the kind of potential that exists in the world of numismatics. So, how does one determine whether a 1979 Washington quarter is worth this kind of money? The first step is to check the coin's condition. If the coin is in exceptional, uncirculated condition, it could be worth far more than its face value. Next, it's important to look for any potential errors or variations that could make the coin even more valuable. Mint errors, such as double strikes, off-center strikes, or other imperfections, can significantly increase the rarity and value of a coin. Coins that have been graded by professional grading companies, such as the Professional Coin Grading Service (PCGS) or the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation (NGC), are also more valuable, as these organizations provide a reliable assessment of a coin's authenticity and condition. Ultimately, the 1979 Washington quarter represents much more than just a piece of currency. It is a symbol of American history, a reminder of the nation's founding ideals, and, for the right collector, a treasure trove of potential wealth. From its timeless design to its place in the history of American coinage, the 1979 quarter stands as a reminder that even the most common coins can hold extraordinary value when the right circumstances align. So, If you're lucky enough to come across a 1979 Washington quarter in your pocket change or your coin collection, take a moment to examine it closely. It could be worth far more than you think. And who knows, you might just be holding a coin worth up to $97,700. The world of coin collecting is full of surprises, and the 1979 Washington quarter is proof that even the most seemingly ordinary coins can hold hidden treasures.